Dab. We are live. Up and running. Hey, what's up, everyone? I am Manse, and welcome to this live stream. First time ever from an artist. My name is Manse, and welcome to this live stream on Armada Music Facebook page. Live from Stockholm, Sweden. Today, we're doing some studio stuff. I'm gonna show you guys how I made Time of Our Lives, which is out now on Armada. So let me know in the comments if you can see me, if you can hear me, if you like the sound and everything. Please let me know. Press like, share, everything. Let's make this viral. So, for those of you guys who don't know me, I am Manse. I'm from Sweden. I am a DJ, producer, artist, and I make music. I make progressive house. Recently, I just had a release on Armada called Time of Our Lives, and it's a pretty special track to me. It's a very emotional track, but I went out of my comfort zone and made something a little bit more different than progressive house. I made like a crossover thing between deep house and progressive house, and I'm really happy about the result and also the amazing comments from you guys. It's incredible to see all the positive comments. I've just seen a couple of negative comments, but the rest is just been incredible. Like so many positive comments. So I feel very blessed and very happy about it. So thank you so much for that amazing support. So that's why I wanted to today show you everybody here on this live stream how I made a track, how I made Time of Our Lives with Jantine. Basically, I'm gonna show you how I did everything from scratch. Basically, the chords, the vocals, the drops, the build-ups, everything. So if you have any questions, please just ask them in the comments, and then after the stream, I will check them out and answer them. So please have that in mind. So if you can see me, yeah, obviously you can see me. I saw a comment. So let's get to it. So Time of Our Lives with Jantine is out now on Armada Tries. The support has been amazing so far, so that's why I want to celebrate it, to do a little special in the studio view. Right now I'm actually not in my studio. I'm actually in Åre, which is a ski resort in Sweden. I'm here and making music for 2 weeks, getting some inspirations from the mountains and the snow. So I took the chance to just build up a simple studio here. The only thing you actually need is the computer and your Nexus USB and some speakers, and then you're good to go. So if we started the track from scratch.
Can you see the dark clouds are fading away? Can you feel the countdown? It's changing today. 'Cause we can go on forever and ever more.
If you haven't heard the track yet, go check it out. It's out on Spotify. It's called Time of Our Lives with me, Manse, and
So let's start.
it's out right now on Armada Tries, Armada Music.
You and I could have the time of our lives. You and I could have the time of our lives. So let's
Boom, boom.
Can you see the dark clouds are fading away? Can you feel
So
the
as you can hear,
countdown? It's
this is a special track with
today.
amazing vocals
'Cause we can go on
from Jantine.
forever and more.
So to kick it off with the intro, as you can hear, it's some kind of guitars here in the beginning. You know, these stuff are just for the atmospheric vibes, basically, for just to create that, you know, nice vibe to the whole intro of the vocal. And actually for this track, usually you have chords from the beginning, but for this track I actually only have top instruments, so I actually have no chords whatsoever. So, you know, when you add some nice atmospheric sounds,
Can you feel the count?
the vocals, and also what really gives this intro a nice little you know, kick or sound is actually the guitar. So as you can hear, this is a kind of a funky sounding guitar, and this is a live recorded guitar from Klaus Funke, who's one of the writers on this track. Yeah. So basically, I just added some tiny, you know, EQing. You know, EQing is the most important thing, I think, after the feelings in a track. I think EQ is the second most important thing when it comes to building a track. You always have to, you know, take away bad frequencies. It's quite difficult to hear, you know, with these speakers, but when you actually just mute everything that's not in there, you're gonna hear it's gonna be a bit harsh to your ears. So what the EQ does, basically, just cut out some harsh frequencies that really hurts your ears. So basically, you know, you have to a technique for that. You know, you can just open up an EQ. This is a technique that I use always when I do EQing on my sounds. I just open up a equalizer, and you know, I just try to find the frequencies that are really harsh and bad for your ears, basically. So when you open up a equalizer, I use now FabFilter Pro, usually, you know, for EQing. Sometimes I use the built-in channel equalizer, but sometimes I use this one. So basically what you can do, you know, you can just boost a really sharp curve. And then what's really good with FabFilter is that you can actually solo that certain frequency. So if you play it now, for this example, so now you only hear the frequencies that I'm boosting. And now it's time to find the bad frequency. For example, this is quite a harsh frequency, which is quite bad for ears. And when you find that bad frequency with this technique, you actually just minimize it and decrease that certain area of the sound. And sometimes it can sound a little bit muddy, so you don't want to you don't want to overdo it. You just want to give it a tad like that. And that's my technique, how I actually find like bad frequencies and cut them a little bit and stuff. And for guitars, I like to add guitar rig, which is basically an amplifier. So as you can hear, this sounds quite, you know, boring without any processing. And as soon as you add this nice guitar rig from Native Instruments, it just adds that, you know, more of a grittiness. It adds more grit to the sound. Without it, with it. And what I like to do, I like to breathe through some presets here in the guitar amps, and then I just choose what I think sounds quite good, and then I go into these different amplifiers and, you know, make it perfect, basically. So this is a really good one, guitar rig from Native Instruments. And then when we have the intro, as I said before, I only have that guitar actually, so we don't play any chords yet, and we have the vocal, of course, from Jantine. And sometimes I process the vocals by myself, but Klaus Funke, which is my partner in crime, so to speak, when it comes to doing tracks, he actually did amazing processing on this one. He's obviously have a lot of experience from, you know, vocal recordings and mixing. So I actually liked how it sounded wet. So I actually didn't do anything. I didn't do any equalizing or anything. It sounded perfect already. So I just kept it like that, and then I just started adding some chords. So the thing is with this track, this track is so simple. It's just minimal, like less is more, basically, with this track. For the breaks, it's basically, you know, just a piano with the chords and a bass. So this piano sounds very, very boring without the processing. I can open up everything so you can see how my channel strip looks like for this specific piano. But first off, I will mute everything. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff, and this is how you shape a sound. You know, sometimes you can find a sound that sounds good by itself, but Usually, if you wanna, add some special character to your sound, it's all about the processing of, the specific sound. And even though this is a piano, you still want to make it, to have it so it has nice character basically. This is how it sounds without any processing at all. So I think also for this track, the chords are quite unique and sounds like very, organic. And as soon as you start adding stuff, so first off, I add some equalizing here, as you can see. I just did actually a lot of boosting here in the top end, and I did some boosting around 16K, and also around in the mid 500, 600K as well, hertz, and also of course low cut it, so it gives it a little bit more crispness basically. So when you low cut a sound, you don't get that bass, and actually somehow you make the sound a little bit lighter basically. The second thing on my piano channel is a multipressor, and basically I like to add this multipressor. This is the built-in multipressor from Logic, and I just like to play around with different presets on this one actually, because I use the string compressor now, but then obviously you tweak it a little bit. What it does basically, it just compresses the different parts of the frequency spectrum, so you can really control all the different aspects of this frequency spectrum. So for example, now I don't have any lows though in this one, but if you look here, for example, between 500 and 5K, I have like one setting of compression, and also in the high end, in the lower mid. So it's all about finding the right balance between these parameters, and just try to find the right frequencies that you're gonna compress. Also, what I added on this one is one knob brighter. It's from Waves, and it just adds a little bit of brightness. This is called one knob brighter, and you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to have too much high frequencies in the piano. But you boost a little bit, it just gives the sound a little bit more of a character basically. Also, I have a little bit of compression just to control the peaks a little bit in this piano. This is a preset that I took from Thomas Gold, of one of his old Future Music Magazine's studio tutorials from like 2012. I've used it since that day, and it's just perfect for just some light compression as well, just to control the peaks a little bit. Also, what I always add on my sounds is a scanner vibrato. It's from Logic's own, and what it does, it makes the sound pop out even more. It can be hard to hear in the speakers here via the live stream. This is without it, and now it's with. So basically, it just makes the sound pop out the speaker a little bit more. So I'm actually not using the scanner vibrato effect. I just use this plugin to achieve a certain, sound basically. And then when it comes to EQing, I have my fab filter here. As you can see, I did a lot of cutting. This is because this piano had a lot of bad frequencies in it. It had a lot of annoying frequencies. So as you can see here, all these ones I had to cut, because they were really harsh to your ear. And the technique that I showed you in the beginning, that's how I applied it. I choose a frequency, I boost it, I solo it. I'm searching for the bad frequencies, and then I decrease it basically and just cut it out, so it will be a nice sounding piano. And then I added this stereo imager from Waves as well. Basically, I wanted this piano to be quite mono, because when you have it in mono, it can be a bit more powerful, especially now when I had the guitars here as well. It's just fitted that guitar to make it a little bit more mono, and in that way you will also make sure that this piano, the break will sound good in the radio or in the club or whatever. So I just added a little bit of width to it, but not that much. I add a high cut just for automation. As you can see here, I have some automation here. Just for effect. This high cut is just a built-in plugin from Logic. It's just very CPU friendly, doesn't take up so much space. And then the last sound effect that I have on this channel is the OTT from Xfer, which just compressed the hell out of the piano and makes the piano more, makes the piano have a longer sustain in a very compressed way. So it may sound a bit overcompressed, but if you have the levels right, it won't really, matter. You will still have a really controlled mix. And also I have a denoiser because the OTT makes some noise. I think I have this is also a free plugin, the OTT. So if you go on Xfer's website, you can get a free copy there. And then the rest of the stuff on this channel is just for automation only effect. For transitions, like here, for example, I have Averb, reverb. So basically what it does, it just fades away a little bit and make all the transitions very smooth. And also when you do reverb automation, if you boost a lot of reverb, it's always important to have a low cut just to cut out all the lows, because it tends to be quite muddy. If you have a lot of reverb on it, it tends to be quite muddy. Let's continue. Also in the end of this channel, I just have a sidechain compression, basically because I have this piano in the drop as well, and I want to make sure it doesn't clash with the kick. So usually I have my setting that I've been using for many years. It just makes this piano very tight with the kick. Sometimes you can use like volume sidechaining, like Xfer or Nicky Romero's plugin, like sidechain plugin, Kickstarter. But I like to use a sidechain compression on my mid sounds and lead sounds, because it will not bump so much. It will be more of a less sidechain sound, and it will sound more natural without it actually destroying the sound with the kick. So I use mainly like sidechain compression on my mid sounds, and when it comes to basses, I use some volume sidechain because I want to make sure that the basses don't clash with the kick, of course. And sometimes with the sub frequencies, you never know if it's gonna really duck when you do sidechain compression. So I really want to have it controlled, but we're gonna come to that later. So the other elements are very simple, just to create that nice vibe. We have some snaps and some claps with some reverb on it. And also, again, it's all about EQing to make sure that your sounds doesn't clash with, for example, the vocal, because the vocal is the main instrument in this one. And you want to make sure that your sound doesn't clash with it. You really need to be important with cutting out some frequencies. Like for this clap, for example, I just did quite a sharp curve here. I did a little bit of boost around 1200 hertz, but yeah, also cut it. Always low cut your sounds, because just make sure that nothing clashes in the low end. Because sometimes a sample can have a little bit of low end that can actually destroy the sound totally. So, very simple stuff. I do a lot of automation with reverb, as I did with the piano, because when you do reverb automation in transitions, it will be a way smoother transition, and it will make it sound a little bit more natural, and make all the transitions smooth for the listener, basically. And then when we have this, also have a bass here as well in the break, which is if you're gonna hear it, as you can hear, it sounds very warm. If you listen to the track in your headphones, you will hear that the track is very warm in the bass. And the thing is with this one, if I take away the high cut, it will sound very harsh to the ears. As you can hear, this sound is very. This is a typical like rave lead sounding sound. This is from Massive. Massive has some amazing sounds for the more analog, like raw sounding sounds. So for this one, it's just a simple. I tweaked the preset a little bit, and then I added some distortion, Saturn from FabFilter, just to make it a little bit more distorted in the low end, just to make the bass a little bit fatter. What's good with FabFilter Saturn is that it really creates a nice crispness also to your sounds. So this is a really one of my go-to plugins that I use usually on my basses, but also sometimes on my leads if I want that crispness to the lead. Also, of course, I have a high cut for automation, and of course a low cut also for automation that fades out before.
You and I could have the time of our lives.
If we continue the track,
You and I could have the time of our lives.
and here, as you can hear, I introduced the main melody. And what's really cool with this track is that the melody is so catchy, so you don't really need that much stuff in the build-up. The melody tends to do a lot of work by itself. When you add some reverb, automation to make it a bit bigger before the drop hits, you actually just, the only thing you need is some uplifters, basically. We have some impacts and some uplifters. But what really does the work here is actually, this pluck, this string, and this pluck sounding tropical house sound. It's very simple. Just try to keep your track simple. A trick that I did for this track is that I didn't add any bass lines in the build-up. So I just introduced the top melody, and then when the drop hits, it will be a way bigger impact. So if I would, for example, put the drop chords in the build-up, it will make less impact in the drop, basically. It all depends on the track, though. But for this track, I really had to, keep the mysterious vibe to it, and not, overdo it too much. So basically, I just kept all the sounds for later for the drop. So basically now we have the drop, and usually when I do progressive house, as you heard before, Last of Our Lives, we have All Around, we have the Armin van Buuren remix, Free Fall. I have a lot of leads layers, but for this track, I want to keep it less is more, just keep it simple for the listener, and less intense, basically. So this track could be more of a relaxing track than just a banging progressive house track. Just a simple kick for the drop. Then we have some basses as well. I have this I always use this bass as a sub. This is just a simple silent sound, nothing really special when you hear it. As you can hear, it sounds a little bit of an old school 80s bass, but I really love the low end on this one. So I added some R bass, which is an incredible plugin for your subs. It's just add the necessary warmth that you need for the lower frequencies. This is from Waves. So as you can, it's hard to hear now in this environment, but as soon as you put it on, it will just make a huge difference on the subs, basically, and it will just be warmer and rounder bass, basically. And since this is only I use this sound just for the sub, I had to cut away all the higher frequencies. So as you can hear now, the attack is gonna disappear. So you will only hear basically the thump of the bass. And as I mentioned before, for subs and basses, I always use sidechain volume sidechain. So I use the LFO tool for this one, just to make sure it doesn't clash with the kick. And then obviously I needed some kind of bass for the lower mid. So as you can hear, it sounds very dull when it's by itself. put up all my sounds here so you can see what I have on this channel. Again, always, since this is the lower mid bass, I don't want it to clash with the sub, so I cut it around like 100 hertz, just to make sure it doesn't clash with the sub. And as you can hear, as I also did with the piano before, is that it will make the bass sound a little bit lighter and not so heavy. And then afterwards, I added this OTT again, the same as you use on a piano, just to make sure that the bass is really pumping and really sticks out in that part of the frequency spectrum. So this is another multipressor, for OTT, just to make sure that both is compressed, so it doesn't really, so you have more control over the bass, but also it makes the bass pop out the speakers a little bit more. And also, as I always use on most of my sounds, the scanner vibrator again, just to make the sound pop out the speakers a little bit more, make the sound a little bit more rich, basically. And in the end of that, I use the another EQ just to boost it a little bit, around 2K, because I needed to help the top leads. So all these leads needed some kind of boost in the frequency spectrum. So I added some, I just did a little boost there. And then obviously, again, the same setting as I had on the subs with the volume sidechain. And then I have an Averb just for the transitions, basically. I have it automated, as you can see here. It's automated, so just for the smooth transitions. And of course, I have this piano that I use in the breaks, and this piano is really not, you can really hear it when you play the track in general, but this plays a huge role in the layering part, because this really fills up the mid-frequency spectrum, which you really want that, big fat ass mid, and then you can have a big sub, and then you have some nice sound, top leads on that one. And then it's pretty much, you have it covered. And then I also, just to add some extra attack to the piano, I added just a simple plug sound with some, again, EQing, low cut it, and also it was clashing a little bit too much with the piano, so I just had to cut it a little bit around, in the mid there, around 400 hertz, just to make sure it doesn't clash with my piano. And also, again, I Averb just for the transitions and everything, just to make sure everything stays smooth. And again, for these kind of sounds, I use the sidechain compression. So as you can see, what's really good, what I do, I always have my kick sent to bus 1. And then from the bus 1, I always have my kick on bus 1. And then on all my sounds that I want sidechain, as soon as the kick is playing, I make sure that the sidechain is sent to bus 1. And then from there, I have my setting here. And then as soon as the kick comes in, you will see it start working. As you can see here, it starts pumping. And as soon as the kick is not there, the sidechain is not there anymore. So it will also make all the fillers sound more natural and not so electronic. And also, I added another plug sound for this, just a simple, just for the layers, basically, because this other plug sound really just needed some extra crispness. So it's all about finding the right sounds. That's an art for itself, to find the right sound for a certain track. And always, as I use, the scanner vibrato, just to make the sound pop out the speakers a little bit more. And also, again, I have always the same settings for my sidechain compression when it comes to chords and leads. And then, now when it comes to the leads, it sounds like this. So, to be able to create this big sounding lead, you have to build it up with different layers. So, what I done here, also when it comes to leads layering, it's an art for itself, and it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it can be quite frustrating. But as soon as you nail it, you'll be so happy. I like to find some sounds from different kind of plugins that you normally don't use, like Nexus is very common, Silent also is very common, Massive is very common for leads as well. So I tend to look for other synths when it comes to leads. I use Native Instruments a lot when it comes to Contact. It's amazing. You know, you have for this one I use the Contour. It's just, you know, just to breathe through some nice sounds. You have metallic sounds, you have plucked sounds, you have keys, everything. And what I want to do for this one, as you can hear, it's a kind of a pluck, but you know, with a lot of reverb on it, and it sounds very unique in my opinion. This sound here is is the main sound of this track, of the leads. This is the synth that you actually hear the most. But if you only have that one, it's gonna sound quite empty. So you need to find some other sounds to layer it, to make it sound a little bit bigger. And also for this sound, I also did obviously always cutting the lows, so it doesn't clash with the pianos and the bass. And also boosted a lot here, quite a bit here in the high end, a little bit around 1K. Because it needed some crispiness there. And also for another sound I added just to create a more bigger vibe. For this one I needed some more attack, so I used this simple synth. This is for Nexus. What I really love with Nexus is that I use it more for layering. Basically, I like to find a unique sound in a different synth, but then when it comes to layering, I really like to use Nexus because it's a very easy way to, you know, just work quickly. Because when you are in the creative flow, you want to have a quick workflow basically. So what I like to use is Nexus for all the layering. But basically these sounds is actually just in the background, so you can't really hear them, but it makes a huge difference without them. So with them. And again, it's always important to, you know, make sure that you cut out all the bad frequencies. For this sound here, for this pluck sound, you know, you have to just look through all the bad frequencies with this technique. You know, you just solo it, you boost it, you check for the bad frequency, and then when you find it, you just cut it. And that's what I always do on most of my sounds, just to make sure that it doesn't really clash with other stuff. And also a really good tip for you guys who are producers out there, True Verb from Waves is amazing, because even though, as you can see here, it's like a 0.2 decay time, so it actually doesn't really have any decay basically. So why I use True Verb is because True Verb adds some width to the whole sound. It makes the sound a little bit more stereo basically, but in a good way. So you actually fill out the whole mono and also a little bit of stereo. So it doesn't really divide everything. It's just a mix between both. So True Verb is really good for that, just to make sure that, you know, you can you make your sound full. Also, again, it's the same settings as always with the sidechain compression. Send to bus 1 where the kick is, to make sure that every time the kick is playing, all the sounds are ducking basically. Also, another trick is to always use a string, because a staccato string adds amazing warmth to lead layers. So basically, just all about finding the perfect sounds, but you always have these go-to sounds that you can always use to make your leads warmer, and strings are one of them that you always can use in your drops for leads layering to make to give that extra character to the whole layer, but also just to create that organic sound to the track as well. And underneath that, 1 octave lower, I have another staccato string, a different sounding string, but staccato string, but basically they fill up different parts of the frequency spectrum basically. So these two together, basically they are just the goal is with these two is that they should sound like one string, basically one staccato string. And sometimes you can't just use one sound and achieve one big sound. Sometimes you have to do layering. It depends on the track though, but for this track I really had to layer it. And then also just to give there was something missing in the leads, so I had to add a lead which have a little bit more release. Because the other leads are more short decay time, very plucky sounding. So I had to add another sound which is a little bit like longer in release, and also of course it's a Nexus, but it's just for the layers and to fill out the frequency spectrum, just make the sound a little bit more warmer basically. And then in the end, also this one and the first sound that I showed you from the reactor, these two have a very significant role in this drop. So basically, as you can hear, this is a very sharp pluck sound. And with some processing on that one, without it, it's gonna sound very dull. So first, you have to low cut always just to make sure it doesn't clash. You add this kind of vibrato just to make the sound pop out a little bit more. And then when you add a driver, this just makes a little bit more, gives the sound a little bit of a distortion, and you don't want to overdo it. You just want to, that sounds really bad. So you don't want to overdo it with the distortions on these kind of sounds. You just want to give a little bit of extra crispness. You can also use the Fab Filter Saturn, which is really good on these kind of sounds. Again, like this, for example, this also makes the sound pop at the speakers a little bit more as well. It just gives that extra, and that's basically the synth of this drop, and which is very simple, but sometimes less is more, and then after 15 seconds, I add a little bit of a loop here with some shakers, just to implement that deep house vibe. So all this stuff here are all to just create this flow, because the melody itself is very catchy, but I also needed to add some more groove to it. And all these kind of sounds, tambourines, hats, all this stuff really adds that extra groove. And then again, we have to put the breakdown to the second verse. And sometimes in progressive house, you really want to cut everything out. But for this track, I just want to keep the flow going. So I actually just, the only sounds I just used from the drop was this pluck chord and also the bass and the kick and the vocal. And these three, they are just complementing each other. It just gives that mysterious vibe to the breakdown. Again here, after 15 seconds, I introduce the piano again, just to make sure that it's always gonna happen something. You want to make sure that it's always something that's happening. Like after 15 seconds, you always want a new element to come in, if it's a hi-hat clap or so now I added, I just implemented the piano and the loop with the hi-hat, with the clap and everything, just to keep the flow going. And then we have the chorus, and then I just take away everything. I take away the beats and everything. The only thing that I keep is the piano and also the bass. And here I did automation with a low cut, because it was a really cool transition, because obviously, as I told you before, I used a lot of reverb for transitions. So what I did here was that I just made the transition a bit cool, in a way that the bass is not coming directly. It just fades in with the low cut, which in the beginning it was not very lightly, but then the more deeper you get into the chorus, the more sub it's gonna be. And of course the guitars again and the claps. Just to have that, not hands in the air moment, but you want to have that, sing along moment.
You could have the time of your lives.
Then again, a lot of automation, you know, for the transitions, reverbs and stuff. And here in the second build-up, I choose to do the build-up 15 seconds instead of just, yeah, a half time, because I really wanted to build up the tension a little bit extra for before the last drop. So the further we get to the drop, the more reverb is gonna come in. And the drop hits with impacts and everything. And I like to have everything open in the last drop, because that's where you wanna have all the energy, you know? And when it comes to mastering, you know, you can just usually, you know, you don't really fuss around with the master that much. I did mastering myself on this track, but it's very simple with the compression, you know, with the multipressor and just you know, limiter from AOM. This is an amazing limiter from AOM. It's just perfect. It just catches all the peaks and everything really smooth, so you can really boost the track as well if you want it loud. So that's really one of my to-go-to plugins. So that's basically Time of Our Lives. How did you like it? Let's see if we have any questions here before we end this. Oh yeah, I actually have another track on Armada coming out very soon as well. It's a collaboration with a guy from Italy, and this track is also gonna be very good. I think it's a really different track from what I usually do. I recently, like the past 6 months, I've been exploring a lot of my own sound, because, you know, progressive house, I'm doing it so much, so I want to try something new. But also, it's going to be a lot of progressive house coming also this year. But I also have a lot of new stuff that's going to be very interesting to hear your opinion about, because it's a little bit of a different approach. Not usually what you can expect from Manse, from myself, but
You don't gotta say it, I already know. And if it ain't love, let it go. I can be your hero, I can be your fool. You're hanging by.
I have a question from Mike. Mike, can you mix and master without Pro Tools or anything? For sure. I mean, when it comes to mixdown, you know, you have, like, for example, UAD, which is really good, UAD, and but I tend to use a lot of waves on my mixdown, because waves is a really they have some amazing plugins for mixing, and for mastering. I just want to keep it simple, you know, just to keep it simple, just, you know, to make compress it a little bit on the master, and then you want to use some multipressor just to control the lower frequencies a little bit, and yeah. Just not overdo it, you know. And then also you have to add a limiter, because you always want to have some headroom. You can compensate that with a limiter, basically, in the end. So yeah, that's that. So I really hope that you guys like this live stream. I feel honored to be the first artist to do a live stream on Armada's Facebook page. So thank to Armada for the opportunity. And thank you all so much for all the amazing support so far on Time of Our Lives. It's been incredible to see all the positive comments. It's been incredible to see all the support on Spotify so far. So big love, and thank you for all, for everything. So stay tuned if you wanna hear some, you know, studio sessions. If you wanna hear some new music from me, you should make sure to follow me on Instagram. You just search for Manse, Manse. On Facebook, also Manse. You can just follow me there if you want first-hand new music and stuff. A lot of stuff coming this year, so I hope you stay tuned. Thank you so much again. Hope to see you soon. Peace.